Carralyn, we are, I think it's fair to say, still a society that is very dependent on one's traditional fossil fuels. There are, I think people will acknowledge, problems with public transport right across Dorset. What would a Labour government, what would a Labour MP like yourself do about climate change and the environment?
The Green Industrial Revolution is the first policy that you read when you open up our manifesto. So it shows that the Labour Party looks at tackling climate change and the climate emergency as an absolute dire importance. It's really, really important. 56% of our emissions are down to heating buildings, and our plans to roll out a whole range of upgrades to our buildings will save something like £417 per household. In addition to that, you mentioned transport, and I'm really glad you mentioned transport, because there are some parts of this constituency that don't have a bus service. There are people who are in rural poverty who can't access cheap food because they're stuck in the villages. The Labour Party will take back into public ownership buses and trains, and will run a proper integrated transport service so that ordinary people will be able to have access to transport and take the cars off the road.
Would you wholeheartedly support wind power? And I don't know how you felt about Navitas Bay in years gone by.
I think that as the technology progresses, you may not necessarily look at putting a wind turbine in a place like that. You may look at perhaps underwater turbines where you can generate power without necessarily despoiling a coastal view. But as far as wind turbines are concerned, yeah, I'm fully in support of them. Our manifesto has plans to introduce 7,000 of them offshore and 2,000 onshore. It's a really cheap and efficient way of generating energy. And I kind of think that they do add something to an environment. They certainly make it cleaner.
So some light relief in the midst of all this serious politicking, and we'll start with Carralyn. I wanted to ask about South Dorset, and I wondered what your sanctuary is in your constituency, a place that is a balm for your soul.
It's got to be Chesil Beach. It absolutely has to be Chesil Beach. My house looks over it, and when I go down and sit on those huge pebbles that were thrown up all of those years ago by that Jurassic storm, and just watch the water lap backwards and forwards, that's just absolutely fabulous. It's the best place in the world.